to be able to be spontaneous, to do what you want to do what is in sync with your own personal values. These are the things that make life worth living. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back in to the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. Today, we're going to discuss a subject that is near and dear to me. The topic is the emotional straitjacket. Now, for those of you who are younger, you may not know what a straitjacket is. It was a garment, usually white, as I recall it, but it's even before my time, a white garment, the sleeves of which were longer than the arms, much longer. And so the person was like this, sort of strapped in, and it was used in the old days of psychiatry, before medication, to keep a violent person from hurting others and themselves. Now, an emotional straitjacket is the same principle, except now you're putting a straitjacket not around the body, but around your thoughts and your actions and your emotions. And you can see right away how devastating that can be. I know from personal experience. As I have told you in previous videos, I grew up in a very difficult situation of a community where money was everything. You were judged on how much money that you had and where they perceived you to be on the social ladder. Unfortunately, my father died when I was 6.5 years old. We did not have money, and therefore we were not ranked so high as others who were in their lofty position of power. This made an impact on me to the point where it eviscerated my self-esteem, my confidence in myself. And I was really in an emotional straitjacket because I became very shy and afraid to engage other people in conversation and even anything further than that. Ladies and gentlemen, I say to you this: are you going to allow yourself to be in an emotional straitjacket? I look around, I've been an observer of human behavior for a long, long time. And the people that I admire are people who have no emotional straitjacket at all. In fact, they might even have, maybe they could use it as emotional straitjacket, but loosely fitting. What do I mean by that? I mean, these are people who are not afraid to live according to their own values. They don't give a damn about what other people think about them. They don't care. They just do what they feel that they want to do. I don't believe, however, don't misconstrue what I'm saying as favoring someone or admiring someone who breaks the law or who deliberately hurts other people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I admire that mindset that allows them to live according to their values. This can best be taught to you by giving some examples. I once knew a lady a number of years ago, a young lady, who was attending medical school. After her second year of medical school, she decided she was no longer interested in continuing her medical studies. Well, you can imagine how her parents were in an uproar. Worse, as far as her parents were concerned, she became interested in the mechanics of the human body and simply fell in love with the world of Pilates, P-I-L-A-T-E-S, Pilates. And she left her medical career behind and began to study Pilates and is now a Pilates instructor and has risen to high levels within that field. Do you know what that means to give up a career in medical school and in medicine to study Pilates? You don't think that takes cojones? That is living according to your own personal value system. She realized that she did not want to study medicine any longer and that her heart was in Pilates. And she's a great teacher because she's doing what she loves to do. She's not being held back by any outside forces. She's listening to her own internal value system. Takes a lot of guts to do that. A lot of guts. I admire the cojones that this lady showed by doing something so rash, but something that felt so natural to her. I admire that. Then there are other people as well who have done similar things in different fields. I told you before about my friend Bernie, who grew up in similar circumstances as I. Lost his father at an early age, was the only child. He knew that he did not like living in the city that we were both living because he was also put down, and said to his mother, I'm going to go to the university about 100 miles north. I don't think there's anything for me here in this town. And he did that. And he reassured his mother that if you need me, I will be here. Only will take a couple hours to drive down if you need me. He went up to that university, began his studies, met a young lady, and by the way, he was also very shy. Met a young lady, eventually married her, and has several children. That takes cojones. That takes living according to your own values. That takes not only just thinking about something in your mind 1,000 times, but it takes the guts and the cojones to do it. Your life is made up of your actions. And sometimes we look back and think we regret what we did not do, and that's very true in many cases. I admire that guy. Then there are people who are famous, politicians, actors, athletes, who simply go by their own internal clock, internal mechanisms of who they are. Now, many times this takes on the acting out of sexual behaviors, sometimes cheating on their spouse or cheating on their girlfriend. Again, I don't subscribe to this, but what I admire is that these people are not in an emotional straitjacket. They do what comes naturally to them. And they're not constrained by what society is going to think, what the media is going to think, what their parents are going to think. They don't care. They do what they need to do or they want to do, and they simply do it. They don't have to think about it. And it is this type of mindset, not cheating on people, that's not what I'm talking about, but it is this free, open mindset is that what I admire about these people, that they just do, as long as they don't hurt anybody else. And they do. And they go about it and they don't have a second thought. And you know what? People who shake their finger at him or her, in a way, admire them because they wish they could be like that. They wish they could be freed of their emotional straitjacket. They don't care about what the morals of society are at the time. They just simply do what they feel they want to do. Many may not agree, but I'm just telling you, it's the mindset of being able to do that. Then I know another guy who has a computer business, but he wasn't that satisfied with it. He didn't feel gratified. He didn't feel emotionally fulfilled. And so he actually came to me and told me he wanted to enroll in a mental health counseling program at a university. And I helped him as much as I could. I wrote him a letter of reference. I knew he was a good person. And I did that. And he is applying to be a mental health therapist. You have to admire this. He followed his own internal sense of what was good for him. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't live a full life if you are in an emotional straitjacket. I tell you the truth. I think about my past, and I remember growing up in a situation where my grandparents and my mother would go to the same cafeteria every Wednesday and Sunday evening. I don't care if an atomic bomb had been launched against our country. They would have somehow found their way to that cafeteria. This is living in an emotional straitjacket. This is not living. This is existing. It's being like a wound up robot that you just do the same thing at the same days, at the same times, every single week. You can't live like that. It's not a life. It's existing. It's just not worth it. You're burning up time. Again, as you know my feelings about time and how important it is. You're burning up irreplaceable time that one day you're later going to regret. What the heck was I thinking about? I'll tell you the truth. This is very, very dear to me because it happened to me. And it happened to other people that I know. But I've also seen people who break out of it. Now, why do some people break out of it and some have difficulty with that? I would have to know the intricacies of each person because everybody's different. But I'm saying this to you. If you are in an emotional straitjacket, you've got to, I would suggest, use what you're afraid to do to then actually take advantage of that and do it. In other words, let the fear of what you want to do tell you this must be what I need to do. Again, if you're not breaking the law, if you're not hurting anybody. And the second thing is you may need a course of behavioral therapy. And I've discussed this in other videos. Behavioral therapy can be very helpful in teaching you how to come out of your shell and being able to be more spontaneous. And maybe that's the word that I'm looking for, is spontaneity. To be able to be spontaneous, to do what you want to do what is in sync with your own personal values. These are the things that make life worth living. Otherwise, as I said before in another video, that without joy, life is death. It's absolutely true. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen and take to heart what I have just discussed with you in this video. As always, I remind you, drink and drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time. Wait, I have 3 videos for you to review that I have already done. The first is called Break the Chains of Shyness. The second is Break Out of the Box. And the third one is Fortune Favors the Bold. See you next time!